Hey YouTube. So I had already did this vlog once. My daughter was in my arms at the time. I was introducing her to you guys, and she pooped, and it went everywhere. I went to go change her, and it was everywhere. So I had to give her a bath and everything. So I'm redoing this video because I didn't really get to talk about everything I wanted to talk about. So she's asleep now, so you guys will meet her on a different day. So this is my labor and delivery video, and I have my little cheat sheet. So if you see me looking down a lot, this is why. So to start off real fast, if you guys looked at my pregnancy recap, I told you that I had my daughter 4 weeks early. So we're going back to when I was 36 weeks and 1 day. Previously in my pregnancy, I was diagnosed with hypertension. I was diagnosed, I think, around between 10 and 13 weeks. I can't remember which week it was. So throughout my pregnancy, I had to monitor my blood pressure with a blood pressure machine that I bought myself. I did it two times a day, up till 30 some weeks, and then I decided to do it 3 times a day to monitor that more closely. So on the said day in question, which was a Sunday, September 26th, 2010, I had went out to eat with one of my friends at TJ's, and that morning my blood pressure was severely high. It was like 150, 152 over 1 something. 100 something, and that is really, really high for me. So I took it one more time, about an hour and a half later, and then I took it again before I went out to breakfast, and it was just high all 3 times. So I figured, well, maybe my blood pressure machine is broke. So went out with my friend, and I decided right afterwards I was going to go to Walmart to pick up some acetaminophen and take my blood pressure out there. So I got there to my blood pressure, and it was 170 over 110, which is really, really high for me. It's really high for anybody. So I rushed home. I called the doctor. I was like, this is what's going on. He said, why don't you go ahead and come in. My doctor was not there. This was a doctor that was on call at the time at the labor and delivery unit. So we got up there. We got admitted. Got on my little nightgown and everything. And the doctor comes in, and he's like, you know what, that's way too high. Let's go ahead and admit you. You stay here. We'll get you induced. This is 10:30 in the morning. So at 11, he came in and checked me, and I was 2 centimeters, 50% effaced, and she was at a -3 station at the time, so she was really, really high up. So he went ahead and got the IV started. So I got an IV drip, and I also got a magnesium drip to combat the high blood pressures that I had. And I also had Pitocin started. So everyone had to be quiet in the room because they were afraid, with the magnesium drip and my blood pressures, that it could trigger seizures, cardiac arrest, things like that. So I could only have 2 or 3 people in the room at a time, and everybody had to be quiet. So that was one thing that I had to do. I was hooked up to my monitors, my blood pressure cuff, which took my blood pressure every 30 minutes. I'm sorry, every 5 minutes. I don't know where I got 30 minutes from. So every 5 minutes it would take my blood pressure and record that. I got my catheter in, which the catheter I thought was the worst part of the labor. The catheter hurt so bad. I don't know if the nurse was inexperienced, but when she put that stuff in and she inflated the balloon, oh my god, it hurt so bad. I was holding my sister's hand, I was like squeezing it. It hurt that bad. I almost cried. It was bad. That was the worst part of my labor right there. And like I said, they put the Pitocin up, and they increased the Pitocin every half an hour. So the nurse would come in and increase it to make sure my contractions were started. At 3 p.m., there were no changes. I was still 2 centimeters, 50% effaced, and she was still at -3 station. At 7 p.m., they checked me, and I was 3 centimeters at the time, 50% effaced, and she was still at a -3 station. Let's see, my water broke at that time, and I started leaking. That's why they came in and checked me, because I was leaking. I was like, oh my god, am I peeing myself? Every contraction, a little bit would come out. It was so gross. I didn't know what it was. So they checked me, and they said, yes, your water has broke. And at that time, I was feeling, it was a little bit painful. If anybody's ever been induced, they tell you that with an induced labor, your contractions are stronger to begin with. It doesn't really increase over time. I mean, it doesn't really start out like really, like contractions. It actually is really, really strong right then and there, and lasts throughout the whole entire labor, so it's kind of difficult. So they went ahead and gave me Demerol, and with Demerol, you become very, very drowsy, so I was sleeping a lot. It took that extra edge off of the contraction. If you know contraction, it kind of goes in a peak, so to kind of chop the top off those peaks, so that's how you only went up to like a 5 instead of like 10 scale, so it chopped the top off those. So that's how I felt, and I was like, yes, sleep time. being too loud for her. I could feel the contractions, but they weren't as strong, so I was able to get some rest, and I was very, very drowsy. So a lot of the stuff I don't remember as much. My mom had to kind of fill in the blanks after the Demerol incident. So I slept on and off, I think, until about 12:30 p.m. And that's when the pain really, really increased. And I was trying to doze in between contractions, but it was getting bad. So I had someone come and check me, and I was 4 centimeters dilated, 75% effaced, and -2 stations. So she was dropping down, which was great. What I did between that time and the time I got my epidural, I used my breathing techniques, which a lot of my breathing techniques weren't really the he that you learned in your classes. It was more of that's what I did. My sister said I was really annoying with that, but it really, really helps. And I was able to deal with those contractions until I was able to get my epidural. So at 2 a.m., they had asked me at 12:30 if I wanted epidural. I said yes. So by the time the anesthesiologist got there, I got my epidural at about 2 a.m. And I was told to lay on my sides, switch sides every half an hour. So I started out on my left, and then I would turn to my right, every half an hour. I found that every time I would turn over, switch sides every half an hour, I would throw up. They say it's common with Demerol and also with the epidural, and also a combination of those two medications plus my magnesium drip. I was throwing up, and I hadn't eaten since that morning at 10 a.m. So I was so hungry, and there was nothing in my stomach but liquid, and I was throwing up. So go figure. So that was bad. I was vomiting a lot. At one point, I sat straight in bed and said, "I want a C-section. I cannot do this." I was throwing up that much. My husband was like, "Oh my gosh, what is wrong with you?" I was like, "Yeah, that's it." My mom was with me the entire time, and she was there, holding the pan while I threw up. It was ridiculous. But she made sure she monitored me, monitored my blood pressure. She was like the extra nurse in the room. At that point, again, I was in and out, like I said, from the Demerol I had earlier, and then plus epidural magnesium drip, and she had to fill in all the blanks. She said at one point my blood pressure had dropped, and they had to give me oxygen. Oh, it's all right, baby girl. And they had to give me oxygen. So, come here, beautiful. Okay. Yeah, I know. Okay. Guess you guys get to meet her. This is Jayda. She just woke up from her nap. Hello. I got this little ditty from a yard sale, and it's this thing that ties at the bottom, and you pull it, and it closes at the bottom of it, so her feet are actually inside of it. So I love these things. It's easy to change her in the middle of the night. So if you could find one of these at a yard sale, or you could find them at Babies R Us, they have them. And also they have one that have zippers on the bottom, so it's really, really good. So again, that's her. She's looking off the side of her little swing. That's what she was laying in. Say hey. Looks like this is going to be in 2 parts. Sorry guys, I was trying to fit it all in one, but there's a lot of information I have to tell you. So let me finish off what I was saying. Like I said, I don't remember what happened, but I do remember having the oxygen mask on at least twice. So, because like I said, my blood pressure was dropping. Hi dear. Hi dear. Say hi dear. At 6 a.m., they checked me again, and I was 5 centimeters dilated, 75% effaced, and -2 station. At that point, the doctor did not tell me this then, but told me a little bit later that she actually was thinking about giving me a C-section because I'd labored for so long, and she was worried about infection because my water had broken at 3 centimeters. So that's what she was worried about. Yes, yes. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and do a part 2. So thank you for listening so far. We'll be right back. Bye.